It is a disaster for the people.
Itu menyebabkan kami punya rumah pun kebanjiran, sawah padi kami pun rusak. Isu ini dalam 1 tahun kami tidak akan nelayan.
Bukannya bandar besar nih pun perkampungan aja nih, kawasan kampung. Kok tidak perlulah mau besar sangat ke jalan. Kalau mau menyusahkan lagi penduduk yang ada di situ kan.
They're only interested with money. Is it benefited or it will destroy the whole heritage, destroying everything?
Kalau betul mau juga menaik taraf tuh jalan raya kan, naik taraf juga lah penduduknya.
It is a disaster for the people.
Itu menyebabkan kami punya rumah pun kebanjiran, sawah padi kami pun rusak. Isu ini dalam 1 tahun kami tidak akan nelayan.
Bukannya bandar besar nih pun perkampungan aja nih, kawasan kampung. Kok tidak perlulah mau besar sangat ke jalan. Kalau mau menyusahkan lagi penduduk yang ada di situ kan.
They're only interested with money. Is it benefited or it will destroy the whole heritage, destroying everything?
Kalau betul mau juga menaik taraf tuh jalan raya kan, naik taraf juga lah penduduknya.
Okay, everybody's ready. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, can hear
loud and clear.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this 3rd session of the Youth Forum on Envisioning Green Infrastructure Development for a Sustainable Future. For those that don't know me, my name is Sylvia Yorath, and I'm the Biodiversity Conservation Manager with LEAP. And I've worked in Sabah for over 34 years, so hampir orang Sabah lah. So this forum, as some of you know, has been co-created with University College Sabah Foundation to help to give a voice to the all-important youth of today. And today we're going to be talking about evidence-based design of infrastructure development in Sabah. So a quick outline of the program. First, we'll meet our participants, our panelists. Then there'll be 5 presentations from the student groups. Then question and answers from panelists and attendees online to the students. So without further ado, let me introduce our panelists. And today we are delighted to have Tuan Vitalis Moduying. Vitalis is the director of the Environment Protection Department, where he has worked for 22 years. Well done, Vitalis. And including on the all-important issue of environmental impact assessments for infrastructure projects and on government policies and so on. So a very warm welcome to Vitalis.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvia. Yeah.
Next, we have Puan Janet Goh. Janet is a chartered town planner and has been involved in the Sabah State Structure Plan, the KK Green City Action Plan, and the Marine Spatial Plan for Semporna. Welcome, Janet. And next we have Dr. James Yong, who is a consulting engineer, a fellow of the Institution of Civil Engineers of Malaysia, and chairman of a local engineering consultant firm called PY Concept Perunding Sindirin Bahad. Welcome, Dr. James. And then last but not least, thank you for stepping in at short notice, Daryl. We have Datuk Daryl Weber, who is the Managing Director, Global Forest Strategies, Earth Innovation Institute. And in his previous lives, he was with WWF and also the CEO of the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, RSPO. So 4 very distinguished panelists. And to get to know our panelists a little bit better, I'm going to ask each one of you a question that you have precisely 2 minutes to answer. No pressure, lah. And that is, when you were 22 years old yourselves, the same age as many of the presenters, the students here today, what were your aspirations for yourself and for Sabah? So when you were 22 years old, what were your yearnings, your aspirations? Perhaps we can start with Janet. Can you cast your mind back to when you were young, Janet? I think you're muted.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, that was a long, long time ago. 22 years, where am I? Where was I? Yes, in the UK. Yes, at that time, I think I have always from young been very much influenced about protection of the environment, and not so much as the word conservation. I think, in those days, I think that is not too popular word yet, but preservation, keeping it, as it is, and things like this are part and parcel of my growing up environment that I was in. I live in a kebun. So 22 years old, at that time, I was already doing my town planning degree in UK. And obviously that reinforced my views on conservation, preservation. And I always cast back, what can I do when I graduate and being back in UKK, in Sabah, and would my kebun still be there? How would it have changed? And every 2 years when I come back, things have changed. So I was actually quite interested and also excited, actually. Looking at the road Jalan Tuaran from KK to Mengatal, I live up in Mengatal. That Jalan Tuaran road was widened, improved, and then suddenly halfway through you got street lights instead of just pitch dark. So all those things are kind of like wonderful news for me as I come back to see improvement each time. And and I have always thought we need to actually have development. We need to open up the state. We need to connect the state. But how do we do it is the billion-dollar question, I think, you know. How can we do it well, that we actually take into consideration every aspect of our stakeholders, which include not only human beings, but also habitat. And so on that basis, I think, you know, my aspiration for Sabah at that age was to be excited to see Sabah coming out of the, in those days when we were young, we call it Stone Age, you know, and but also very ambitious to see, you know, what kind of development we can adopt. Now, obviously, I was also studying in Singapore, so I said, no, we are not going to have a Singapore here with a concrete jungle. We still want a jungle. Not at our doorstep, I suppose, you know, because I was then influenced by planning that says that, you know, there is a hierarchy on land use and things like this. So, yes, my aspiration for Sabah at 22 was to have it open up, to have it connected, but at a pace and at a level that we are comfortable with over our progress of time. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Who shall we pick next? Daryl, what were your aspirations age 22?
At 22, I was like every typical young man, selfish. I only thought about myself. Did not have greater aspirations for Sabah. I wanted to know how I can get through university with the least effort possible and make the maximum amount of money upon graduating. That's all I was thinking about. I'm sorry.
Wow, so honest. Okay. Tuan Vitalis?
Yeah, thank you. When I was 22 years old, I think I was in the maybe third year, final year of in my universities. I studied ecology, so I think I was very interested in the way the connection between humans and habitats, or even animals and habitats at that time. So at that time, I think there was not much issues on pollution, whatever. So it's more about nature, the water cycles. So I was quite interested at that topic. So, I mean, and that time I was, as you know, there's no mention about pollution or how to apply environmental management. It's more in the interest in nature at that time. So only when I came back to Sabah and how to apply the knowledge that I learned, and I think it's very useful when you study ecology and you know the nature and their interaction with the surrounding. Then I think, and until now, I'm still doing this job, even though in the early stage I was working with various other departments, but now I think the basics that I study, I think is really helped me, and I think. At that time, 2 years ago, I think I made the right choice. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm just interested to know, you were studying overseas. I presume you consider not coming back to Sabah?
No. At that time was as a typical Sabahan. I think at that time everyone goes back to Sabah also because, as you know, orang dulu kan, I mean, you have to I'm from kampung, then you have to go back and assist your parents back. So that's typical. So maybe at that time, I was also thinking of working as, somewhere, but because of the family, then I think I went back and to assist the family lah. So that's how it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And so, Dr. James.
Can you hear me?
You're quite quiet, quite soft.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
that's better.
Well, when I was 22 years old, I think I just graduated from UK. And I'm very lucky at that time to have a job in a UK consultant firm. Yeah, and I worked there for about a year. Then I was offered to stay there as a PR, but I didn't. I want to get back. I want to go back to Sabah to actually to earn money. You know, I always believe that Sabah has more opportunity. It's a young country, it's a young state, whereas the UK is already too developed and the opportunity is much less. Yeah, and I'm not on government scholarship, so I want to go back to Sabah and quickly start earning money to repay my parents. Yeah. So that's the first thing in my mind. Yeah, and of course at that time in my mind is I try to gain as much experience as possible from developed countries like UK, which is very good in engineering, and then I make my way back, and then the first thing in my mind is to get a job, and then to be a good professional engineer to contribute to nation building. That's my aspiration at the age of 22. Thank you.
Thank you all. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, well, in that context, now we're going to move on to the presentations themselves from the student groups. Each one is a maximum of 20 minutes, and we save our questions for right at the end of all the 5 presentations. So if you do have any questions, you can note them down as we go along and save them for the end. So I think we're ready to go with the first group. Yusnida, are you there? Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Yusnida. So the floor is yours. Please introduce yourselves and your topic.
Hello, good evening. My name is Yusnida and our topic is the local socioeconomic impact towards our topic is the local society's impact of Pan Borneo toward Parol Highway. So we will presenting pre-recorded video.
Hi everyone, today we'll be discussing on our topic on the local socio-economic impact of the Pan Borneo Highway at Papar Ol Highway. We are students from Bachelor Degree of Business Administration from UCSF and we are consist of 4 members, which is myself, Shazan Rizwana, Daralim, Yusnida and also my Sarah. So without further ado, we will start our topic. Pan Borneo Highway Sabah is one of the projects carried out by the federal government to develop the road network, to increase mobility, to upgrade the highway physical plan now in existence, and to provide for the adequate facility for the increases in growth in anticipation of the future. We have chosen Papar as our scope of study. Papar is a small town district located in the west coast Sabah on the East Malaysia. To be more specific of our scope of study, it is from Kampung Mikik up to Kinarut, where the Pan Borneo Highway is linked.
So, what are the issues? As we can see, socio-economic effect that occurs as a result of the construction of Pan Borneo Highway are based on concerns of the general public from our previous research, internet research, and data surveys. For the first issue, what happened to the land's value? When talking about value, we instinctively think monetary value. This is not what we will focus on. There's much more benefits that we can gain when nature is left as it is. According to the Sustainable Development Goals number 15, Life Online, by 2020, the goal is to integrate ecosystem and biodiversity values into national and local planning, development processes, poverty reduction strategies, and accounts. This says a lot on how the Pan Borneo Highway project is being handled. Other than that, rapid surface flows from roads increase both local and downstream flooding. Few roads in high rainfall zone have sufficient culverts, bridges, or other drainage structure to divert water through or around the roads. The recurring impediment of water causes localized flooding and vegetation mortality, peaking during periods of intense rainfall. Road construction in mountainous areas also increases the risk of landslide. So, relying on underpasses to reduce road impact is like trying to treat cancer with a band-aid. For the second issue, the topic of economic impact is accompanied by the concern of local losing their source of income. Most of the people living in the rural area have different income sources, such as paddy fields, oil palm plantations, orchards, paper plantation, and others. Many locals have an agricultural area close to their home. This situation can be seen when the agricultural area belongs to a certain authority. They will lose their source of income and at the same time will burden them, particularly to the low-income population. As for the third issue, high product prices, and why product prices become high with Pan Borneo Highway. Price differential have a pronounced effect on lower-income shoppers because a disproportionate number of lower-income people reside in central cities with larger numbers of small and independent stores. Factors in this price differential include differences in operating costs, economies of scale, market power, breadth of product and services, search costs, and demand elasticity. And for the last issue, which is relocation, why do they need to relocate? Difficult problem of seeking a new location and land to build their new home exists, since it is very costly to pay for land property. Due to the restricted and costly land issue, this has caused many of the residents not to move from their current property. This generally provides residents who have to relocate in a short period of time with emotional disturbance. So as you can see here, based on the issue that we found from the three sources, which is previous research, internet research, and data survey, although the upgrading of the highway will lead us to a better economic standing in the future, it comes with its concerns from the general public. With gains, there will definitely be some losses. And what are our losses here? So to find out more information on our probing curiosity, the best way would be to go to this affected area, interview some residents and people who are usual consumer of the road facility. However, with the plight of the pandemic, we had our hands and feet tied. So, to replace the interview, we have developed a survey to find out the perception of the general public on the Pan Borneo Highway. So in this study that we are presenting, that would be the limitation, that the evidence is exploratory and perception focused. Yet, we still feel that these are relevant because the data comes from the affected consumer of the Pan Borneo Highway project and of course in general are the Sabahans. So this is our research question on how the widening of the highway would impact on the socio-economic condition of the local community at Papar. And this is our objective, which is to identify the impact of widening of the highway on the socio-economic condition of the local community at Papar. Next, I will pass it to Yusnida.
Thank you, Maisara. In this research, the constant analysis was used to analyze the data which was collected from the questionnaire that was answered by the respondent. The Google form that was being used has helped to analyze the data by executing qualitative analysis, which is primary data. After we have completely gathered all of the relevant data, we then complete the statistic analysis. In our study, we use descriptive statistics to analyze and represent the data that we have collected as well as summarize all the data obtained from the questionnaire. Do you see the red area over here? that is Papar. According to Malaysia's Statistic Department, Papar have population as many as 5,984 population. So, if you can see here, it is a graph that shows about the genders of the respondent that answered the question. Majorities of the respondents are female and the others are men. Here are the graph of age of respondent. As we can see, the majorities are from age 18 until 24 years old, which have 20 people answering the question. Meanwhile, only one person are at the age of 60 years old and above that respond to this survey. Here are the graph of ethnicities that was answered the question we made. The largest respondent are Kadazan and Bachao, but background are quite diverse. For the next graph are asking questions about the connection regarding with the construction areas of Pan-Borneo highways. As we can see here, 18% respond that they live there with their own house in that area, but 2 of the respondents are just a worker that was work in that area. Graph next to it are asking about what type of crops grown on the land, if any, and either it is for sales or personal use. So, 23 respondents are not growing any types of crops. So, based on that graph, we can assume that even with the construction of the Pan-Borneo highways, they will not affect many people that live there. The issues about losing source of income will not rise. On the other side, we can see the counts of business opportunities as many as 60 responded respond natural for the possibilities of more business opportunities following the Pan-Borneo highways. Next are job opportunity. Dr. Harry Henry Genap once stated that the highways project should always provide employment opportunities for the local people in various sectors. Here are the proof. You can see the blue link over there, but unfortunately the respondent didn't feel the same because we can see from the graph. You can see as many as 11 respondents respond that they feel natural about this issue of whether there are job opportunities await them. So, for them, the constructions of Pan-Borneo highways are not giving any impact for them. It is same for the youngest generation to live and work in the area because around 11% of them feel natural about this issue as well, as this depends if there are job opportunities in that area which will affect their affordabilities of their cost of living in the area. Price of goods and service are also play an important role because when a town are developed, the price of goods and service will also increase. But as we can see here, around 40% of the respondents rates natural for these issues following the Pan-Borneo construction. Well, Dato Sri Fazila Yusuf, a work minister, once stated that a better road connection will boost the movement of people's goods and service across 2 states, catering more growth opportunities and stimulating the economic in Sabah and Sarawak. According to this source, as you can see the blue link over there, so upgrading a highway doesn't mean the price will increase as well. It is same when it's come to source value because around 60 respondents respond that it is natural. So in their mindset, the construction have no effect towards the value of land that they have. So in the last graph, we can see that most of respondents know about the constructions of Pan-Borneo highway.
According to the United Nations, there are a total of 17 Sustainable Development Goals. However, we find that the 15th goal of the SDG, which is the life on land, it relates to our topic more. The goal focuses specifically on managing forests sustainably, halting and reversing land and natural habitat degradation, successfully combating desertification, and stopping biodiversity loss. All these efforts combined aim to ensure that the benefits of land-based ecosystems, including sustainable livelihoods, will be enjoyed for generations to come. Since we are discussing about Pen Borneo Highway, there are obviously environmental impacts following the mega project. The Pen Borneo Highway has severely interfered the ecological system in terms of animal habitats, deforestation, pollution, and natural disaster. The Pen Borneo Highway road construction has led to deforestation. This affects the lives and the livelihood of people as well as animals. The nature provides us with our oxygen, regulates our weather patterns, pollinates our crops, produces our food, feed, and fiber. The Pen Borneo Highway poses major challenges to sustainable development. Forests are vitally important for sustaining life on Earth and play a major role on the fight against climate change. So our suggestion to overcome this ecological issue would be to create protected areas along roads. When roads in frontier areas cannot be avoided, uncontrolled forest loss and invasions can be reduced by creating protected areas along the road route in advance of road expansion. Other than that is to avoid critical habitats for endemic and endangered species. In areas of high conservation significance, various measures can be used to reduce road impacts. For nature reserves, roadworks and road density should generally be minimized, and roadless core areas maximized. It is to sustain hunting sensitive wildlife and reduce exotic species invasions. So green infrastructure isn't new, but the phrase is not one that often enters a conversation about commercial landscape maintenance. We believe this is changing as more people recognize how nature can actually be harnessed to provide services for communities, like flood prevention, reducing urban heat effect, improving air and water quality, and elevating the overall well-being of humans. We know this sounds huge, but it is achievable to be implemented in the focus area. So how can we possibly achieve green infrastructure for Pen Borneo? Our team suggests to create green corridors all along the highways being constructed across the length and breadth of the state. Policy of plantation and transplantations is to be followed to ensure that delicate balance between the environment and development is restored. Deforestation is occurring at a breakneck speed in order to develop the country. Therefore, the new rules and regulations have come as fresh whiffs of air, not only for the environmentalists, but also the general population. We also suggest to aim of planting more than 10 trees along the highways because trees are essential for the government because they help to maintain the oxygen level of the environment and control pollution. So as for our conclusion, based on our objective, we can see the impact in two ways. The positive impact of Pen Borneo Highway is it helps in the economic growth of our country for the public eyes. However, the negative impact of this mega project is actually disturbing the ecological system because the Pen Borneo Highway is such a big project. There is a pervasive interest in the socio-economic matters from the general public. Hence, we are doing this exploratory study because the completion is still pending and there are still decisions to be made, especially with the recent change of the state administration. So we hope with the info we presented, there is some insight that would help to improve the situation of development of the Pen Borneo Highway, specifically in the area of focus, which is the Old Papar Highway. So what do you think of the infrastructure of the development or the impact of infrastructure? Do we want to sustain the ecological system or do we continue to develop our state? So that is all from our team. Thank you.
Wow, that was very impressive. Do you have any last comments, Yusnida?
No, I did.
Okay. Well, that was very well timed, exactly within the time frame, and provided a lot of food for thought, I thought. So while we prepare for the second presentation, I'd ask the panelists to look at their assessment forms that were sent to you already and just fill those in now while your impressions are still fresh in your mind, the scores. So we have about a minute before the second group can present. I think in general, given the constraints of the MCO, the CMCO, or whichever one we're in at the moment, the RMCO, CMCO, I think the students have in all groups been very creative in the way they've gathered their data. It's been a constraint for all of them. So they've had to do a bit of lateral thinking there, which I think is very impressive. Okay, I think we are ready for the second group. Nazruddin, are you presenting?
Hi.
Okay.
Hello. I'm Sizzling. I am from the Solar Powered Village group. The title is Solar Powered Village, a sustain. I'm the speaker for this presentation for today, Sizzling Jinjan.
As a child growing up, my mother used to tell me that when she was 12, she loves to read, but living on top of a hill during her time meant there was no electricity for her to read past sundown. As the sun set, she would take her books to a spot where the moon shines through from a hole in the roof. She told me the other kids quit school because it was just too hard for them and they did not have time to play. Now that I've grown up, thinking that what my mother and her friends experienced is not possible today, until I traveled to deep parts of Sabah and realized that after 46 years, this is still our reality today. Mothers who collect firewood, father who sells cassava just to fuel generators, children who can't study past sundown, and teachers without tools to teach. Curious what the world thinks, I googled and found out Malaysia reached 99% electrification, among the highest in Southeast Asia. But I wonder how many stories in Sabah remain untold.
Hello, my name is Sizzling and I'll be your speaker for today. Thank you for watching our introduction video. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. Electricity is something we take for granted these days. For others, it's the source of life. World Bank reported in 2019, Malaysia has reached 99% electrification. But how could that be while the realities are Sabah rural communities especially do not have access to electricity? Now here is a presentation overview of what we want to cover in this presentation. The common problem stated by Swati Wahab, the Chief Engineer for Rural Electricity Supply of SESB, He said that there's 3 common problems when supplying electricity to the rural communities. First one is the low performance of contractors and project consultants. The second one is the amount of time for land takeover documentation in order to construct the main distribution substation. The third one is access, the distance to village and between houses in the village. Some of the village only have 2 to 3 houses, which is normal in the rural areas of Sabah. Why do we choose solar in particular? Of course, it's an alternative source of electricity, because Malaysia currently relies 53% on fossil fuel as a source of energy, which is non-renewable, that exists in limited supply and takes millions of years to replenish. In 2018, Malaysia's CO2 emission was 257 million tons. These high levels of CO2 emission contributes to global warming, which can lead to ocean level to rise and the disruption of ecosystem. The second one, it's obviously the unlimited source of energy. Although more can be done to harness the power from the bright fireball in the sky, several countries have taken the lead in capturing the sun's energy and are using it as a viable source of electricity. Countries like Germany, China, Italy, Spain, and many more are taking solar energy to the next level. To think with their climate, harnessing solar will be limited, but these countries are proving that solar power is a legitimate answer to the world's search for alternative to fossil fuels. Malaysia's tropical climate is the golden opportunity waiting to be explored. The third one is low maintenance requirement. In most cases, renewable energy technologies require less overall maintenance than generators that use traditional fuel sources. This is because generating technology like solar panels either have few or no moving parts and don't rely on flammable, combustible fuel source to operate. This means by including community into discussion at early stage of planning, we can empower them to self-maintain and develop sense of collective responsibility. The disadvantage of having solar panel installed to your house is, of course, the initial purchase, but think of it as an investment. In comparison between generator and solar panel, generator lifespan can last up to 10 to 20 years, if only you'll be using it 100 hours per year. Solar panel, however, can last up to 20 to 30 years. On average use, assuming that you use generator for 12 hours times 180 days, representing 6 months, you'll get 2,160 hours, which has exceeded the lifespan of a generator, which means generator can be only used up to 6 months top. Meanwhile, solar panel, you can use it either 24 hours or only when necessary. Now, average price for generator can range from 250 ringgit to 5,000. Solar panel, however, initial cost can range from 500 to 50,000 and more, depending on the size of the panel you want to install. In terms of fuel, let's take my experience going to Pagulungan and asking the boatman how much does a 5-gallon of diesel cost for the communities there. So he said 60 ringgit per 5-gallon. And I asked how long does it last? He said 1 week. So imagine purchasing that for 4 weeks in a month. Gonna cost him around 240 ringgit. Imagine up to 6 to even a year. When comparing to solar panel, we have the sun, which is always free. The other disadvantage of installing solar panels is, of course, the geographic limitation. For Sabah, the terrain can be challenging, such as flood-prone areas, village located on top of a hill, village located in a dense forest, and more. To confront this challenge, it requires strategic planning. So let's move on to evidence number 1 that shows how solar energy have benefited to the communities in India. According to the 2011 national census, 80% of Bihar households do not have access to electricity, which means they have to resort to hazardous fuels like cow dung, kerosene lamps, firewoods for cooking and lighting, expensive diesel generators. No electricity meant women who walked miles to collect water or firewood or have to relieve themselves outdoors without toilet were trying to access to basic facility turn into harassment or worse. To help the people of Darnai, Bihar, the state government, Greenpeace, Center for Environment and Energy Development, BASICS, an institution concerning the promotion of livelihood, got together to solve this lack of electricity in the community of Darnai. Now, in order to do that, they have to identify the problem. So the problem was the centralized power station has a high risk of damage when supplying electricity to the village of Darnai. So what they did, they introduced decentralized renewable energy, DRE, where they focus on-site solar power station instead of relying centralized power plants with high risk of damage by weather from miles away. This involved Darnai communities in initial planning to discuss tariff plans, maintenance, and follow-up report. Now, the outcome of this project is that they successfully light up 450 homes, 50 commercial operations, 2 schools, a training center, and a healthcare facility. In terms of safety, street lights are open, job opportunities, extended productive activities, and improved agriculture by using solar power irrigation system instead of diesel powered. Let's take into example of using decentralized renewable energy and apply to Sabah's rural communities with limited access, such as communities in Paitan, along the coast of Sapulud, Pagunangan, and Pansiangan. This method reduced transmission losses by having generation close to demand. Evidence number 2 is in Kota Marudu, Sabah. In 2013, SWIPA started its first barefoot solar project, which was supported by CIMB Foundation, the Indian government, Barefoot College, and Food for the Hungry International Sabah. They initiated an empowerment program, a program that empowered its first solar mama, Tarihing Masanim, followed by Gining Jaine and Rusni Singkamo in 2015. Traveled to India for 6 months long program learning basic electrification of solar. The outcome of this project is that Tarihing successfully lights up 100 houses after she came back from India. Barefoot Solar Project continues to enrich 2 women from rural communities to follow Tarihing Masanim footsteps. Together, they provided access to sustainability energy for 200 homes in 3 villages in Kota Marudu, which benefited around 1,100 villages. Coming on to evidence number 3, Kampung Dedari, Pahang, Malaysia. A project called Kampungku, a series of renewable energy projects dedicated to resolving the energy-related needs of the indigenous rural communities across Malaysia by providing small-scale solar solutions. The objective of the project is to install 10 easy-to-use mobile photovoltaic cells and solar lamps in cooperation with the Orang Asli of Kampung Dedari. The outcome of this project is that Kampung Dedari has initiated 4 other projects empowering over 288 Orang Asli through solar power. Through 2 evidence of this empowerment initiative, this can ensure sustainability of the solar panels or station installed where the communities are able to monitor, identify, and repair solar equipment. After looking through this evidence, solar energy is the best approach to tackling problems number 2 and 3. Taking the mentioned evidence done by the incredible group of organizations, people, and government bodies as feasible example of solar energy use. We can adopt India as an example of using decentralized energy where the people can facilitate the integration of renewable energies, reduce transmission losses by having generation close to demand, and can adjust to demand's growth. If you look into this picture, the first picture is an example of centralized substation. It requires massive plot of land, and this was taken just close by my house. And compared to decentralized method, you can see that the solar panels is installed on top of the roof or on the side of the house. With this understanding, we can tackle problem number 2, which is land takeover process. This can decrease because solar takes less space than substation. Panels can be installed directly on the roof or beside the house. In terms of tackling problem number 3, which is access, installing substation, connecting supply cable to far distance village is no longer required because solar panels are portable and can be installed to each individual houses. However, it will not be as easy as it sounds. In terms of tackling problem number 1, it requires strategic planning and approaches based on case-to-case scenario. In order for any development projects to work, it is crucial to determine the stakeholders involved and responsible in which areas. They must come from different expertise, knowledge, experience, and skills that come together to ensure the goals are met for the future. What we learned recently is the existence of triple helix, is the involvement of 3 systems: the government, academia, and the industry. However, the downside of this model is often or not the products and service not used, lack of transparency, innovators and end users do not understand each other, frustration, and technical innovation instead of social innovation, which unfortunately is happening with several projects development in Sabah. We think we can do better than that when it comes to uplift and empower our communities for better future. This is where quadruple helix model is required. A model that requires participation of 4 systems, where public and private organizations interact in value-creating process to transform various inputs into valuable output for themselves and others. First, the participation of the government, in this case, SESB, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, SEDA, Sustainable Energy Development Authority. On the academic side, research centers, universities. The third one is the participation of the industry. In this case, Rand Hill Power, Easy Solar as a solar panel distributor, financial bodies, banks, contractors, and CSR industry partners. The last and most crucial part of the system is the community. The movers of community is the NGO. They enable citizens to work together voluntarily and to promote social values and civic goals. They also work closely with the community. And lastly, the key to any successful initiative or development project is the village communities, the one who is in need of help and empowerment. They are the essence of any initiative and development projects, taking community inputs, ideas, and concerns and empowerment training will ensure sustainable outcome. Through this community engagement, we can create an alternative governance systems and promote the community control of energy resource and making them independent. With this evidence, we hope this acts as a stepping stone to prove the feasibility of solar energy use in Sabah. By empowering rural communities in using solar energy as a source of electricity, this will inspire urbanites to participate in a renewable energy movement and increases the chance of achieving Malaysia renewable energy policy by 2025. As youth, we feel this forum has given us an eye-opening moment to see the realities of our homeland, the land we share with our mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers of diverse cultural background. When we participate in this forum, we became the voice to retell the stories of our people living in this condition in this era. Of course, we feel a mixture of anger, frustration, and even disappointment But somehow, we are still hopeful. Hopeful for a future where we have the potential to be the pioneer in renewable energy that helps both communities and the environment. Hopeful for a brighter future.
Well, that was wonderful and very impressive. Would anybody from group 2 like to add any final words?
No, that's about it.
Well, that was pretty awesome. Yes. Okay, there'll now be a short minute while we get ready for group 3. During that time, as I say, the panelists can assessment forms, and we are also running something called a poll throughout this event, where we are asking you questions. Maybe we can bring up the first poll question. Okay. This is a question that we thought was relevant, especially as we have Vitalis here, the Director of the Environment Protection Department. As we know, major development, infrastructure development projects always have environmental impact assessments. So the question is today, do you feel evidence and data from scientists and researchers is incorporated sufficiently into environmental impact assessments? Bearing in mind that our session today is evidence-based design, so is that evidence incorporated sufficiently into environmental impact assessments before projects are approved? So you just click on yes or no and then submit, and later on we'll tell you the result. Everybody can do this, including the attendees online. Okay, so now we can move on to the third group, which is Afif and Brian, is that right?
Yeah.
How are you guys?
Can you hear me? Hello.
Off you go.
Hello. Good afternoon to all the panelists and the attendees that are willing to participate in event. It's such an honor for us, both of us, to be here to represent the youth in today's forums. First of all, my name is Afif Mustakim bin Basran, and together with my teammates, Brian, please wave your hand. Yeah, that's Brian, my teammate. We are from University College Sabah Foundation, and we are under of Faculty of Natural Science and Sustainability. Our project is regarding about the soil and water quality in paddy field. And through this video, we hope that our video will act as a public education, especially for Sabahan people regarding with the Pan Borneo. So without further ado, enjoy our video. Thank you.
Beras merupakan antara sajian penting untuk masyarakat di Sabah. Kebanyakan penduduk tempatan mengusahakan penanaman padi di sekitar dan seluruh Sabah. Pengusahaan padi ini bukan sahaja sumber makanan kepada penduduk malah boleh menjana wang apabila menjual hasil tuai iaitu beras. Kerajaan Sabah juga membekalkan sumber kewangan sebanyak 5 juta ringgit Malaysia kepada petani-petani yang terlibat dengan penanaman padi dalam membantu mereka yang mengalami masalah kewangan. Menteri Negeri Sabah iaitu Datuk Seri Muhammad Syafiee Apdal telah membincangkan bahawa penanaman padi harus diutamakan bagi meningkatkan bekalan beras dan mengurangkan beras import dari Thailand dan Vietnam. Ini juga merupakan cara untuk mencapai sasaran negeri menjelang 2030 iaitu mencapai tahap sara diri 60% dan mengurang beras import. Padi adalah penting bagi masyarakat di Sabah kerana ianya merupakan sejarah atau identiti masyarakat tersebut. Masyarakat di Sabah akan menyambut Pesta Keamatan atau Tadau Keamatan yang merupakan upacara perayaan khas untuk menghormati Bambarayon iaitu semangat padi. Pesta ini adalah amalan tradisi kaum Kadasan Dusun Murut di Sabah dan ia akan disambut pada 30 dan 31 Mei setiap tahun. Menurut orang-orang Kadasan Dusun, perayaan ini merupakan penghargaan dan penghormatan kepada penciptanya yang telah mengorbankan anak kesayangannya untuk menghasilkan benih tumbuhan iaitu padi bagi menyelamatkan orang-orangnya supaya tidak mati kebuluran. Selain itu, perayaan ini seumpama mengharapkan agar rezeki yang datang bertambah baik dan lumayan. Antara sambutan menarik yang diadakan ialah persembahan dan pertandingan tarian Sumazau. Selain itu, pesta ini turut dimeriahkan dengan pertandingan sugandoi, sukan rakyat, unduk ngadau, dan persembahan kraf tangan. Antara hidangan popular semasa perayaan ini ialah minuman tapai atau kinomol, iaitu sejenis arak tradisional yang diperbuat daripada nasi. Pesta ini adalah antara sambutan yang dinantikan bagi penduduk Sabah yang terdiri daripada pelbagai kaum dan melalui sambutan ini masyarakat dapat pupuk semangat perpaduan. Datuk Seri Panglima Muhammad Syafiee Apdal berkata, dengan memahami adat budaya setiap masyarakat di negeri ini, ia tentunya membantu rakyat untuk saling bertoleransi. Keunikan pesta ini juga telah menarik perhatian pelancong dan ramai yang akan datang dari luar negeri semata-mata untuk melihat pesta menuai. Dengan itu, kita boleh nampak penanaman padi bukan sahaja baik untuk sektor pertanian tetapi sektor pelancongan juga. Ini membolehkan Sabah untuk mendapat keuntungan yang besar dan membuat pembangunan di Sabah supaya dapat bersaing dengan negara-negara yang lain. Hasil keuntungan ini, Sabah dapat memajukan diri dengan membangunkan infrastruktur di negeri ini. Kini di Sabah terdapat projek-projek mega yang akan diadakan. Kerajaan negeri Sabah menyatakan bahawa mereka akan mempercepatkan projek lebuh raya Pen Borneo. Projek lebuh raya ini telah diutamakan kerana ianya dapat membantu dalam pembangunan negeri dan memudahkan segala urusan. Namun, pembinaan Pen Borneo telah menembusi banyak kawasan sawah padi yang penting, contohnya Kota Belut dan Papar. Kawasan sawah padi ini merupakan antara pengeluaran padi terbesar di Sabah yang mampu membantu mencapai sasaran sara diri menjelang 2030. Pembinaan lebuh raya ini boleh merosakkan sawah padi terutamanya kepada kualiti air dan tanah. Pembinaan lebuh raya menggunakan bahan yang mengandungi toksik, beracun dan bahan kimia yang boleh mencemarkan air dan tanah di sawah padi tersebut. Bukan itu saja, manusia yang memakan beras tersebut juga akan menghadapi masalah yang sama jika memakan beras dari sawah padi yang tercemar. Ianya akan memudaratkan kesihatan manusia dan juga menyebabkan penyakit atau kematian.
Kami sebagai pelajar telah menjalankan kajian untuk mengkaji kesan pembinaan Pen Borneo terhadap kualiti tanah dan air di sawah padi. Dalam kajian ini, 3 tempat telah dipilih, iaitu yang terjejas, separa terjejas dan tidak terjejas dengan pembinaan Pen Borneo. Di Papar, Kampung Suok Rampajan dan Kampung Kom Pimpinan telah dipilih sebagai daerah yang terjejas kerana PEN Borneo sudah dibina. Kota Belut iaitu Kampung Tanjung Batu, Blok 4 dan Blok 2 telah dipilih sebagai daerah yang separa terjejas kerana PEN Borneo masih dalam pembinaan. Tambunan iaitu Kampung Tangaban dan Kampung Tombotuan dipilih sebagai kawasan yang tidak terjejas kerana tidak ada pembinaan PEN Borneo. Pertama sekali, di sawah padi, kami akan menentukan titik air masuk dan keluar dan pertengahan antara masuk dan keluar. Seterusnya, setelah mengenal pasti titik tersebut, kami akan mengukur panjang dari titik air masuk, keluar dan pertengahan. Lokasi titik itu juga akan direkod menggunakan GPS. Sampel air dan tanah diambil daripada titik-titik tersebut. Kedua-dua sampel akan disimpan dalam cool box dan hantar ke makmal bagi mengkaji kandungan logam berat, iaitu kadmium, kromium, tembaga, plumbum, zinc, besi, magnesium dan mangan. Logam berat adalah unsur logam yang bertoksik dan juga merujuk kepada apa-apa logam yang boleh menyebabkan masalah kesihatan atau kerosakan pada alam sekitar. Unsur logam boleh didapati dari kerak bumi dan manusia telah terokai logam ini untuk kegunaan dalam pembinaan. Walaupun logam berat adalah unsur semula jadi, penggunaan dalam kuantiti yang banyak boleh merosakkan alam sekitar dan membunuh hidupan liar serta manusia. Dalam pembinaan jalan raya, komponen logam berat adalah seumpama racun kepada kualiti air dan tanah di sawah padi.
Melalui analisis logam berat, terdapat 3 unsur logam berat yang mempunyai nilai yang tinggi di dalam air dan tanah di kawasan yang terjejas, iaitu besi, magnesium dan mangan. Berdasarkan kajian kami mendapati bahawa kandungan unsur besi di dalam tanah dan air adalah tinggi di kawasan yang terjejas di Papar. Walau bagaimanapun, tiada perbezaan yang ketara di kawasan yang separa terjejas dengan tidak terjejas, iaitu Kota Belut dan Tambunan. Dalam pembinaan lebuh raya, terak keluli adalah komponen penting untuk membuat turapan aspal dan besi merupakan unsur utama dalam terak keluli. Ini menyebabkan unsur besi tersebar di kawasan sawah padi berhampiran. Besi yang berlebihan dalam air atau tanah boleh merosakkan komponen struktur sel dan merosakkan proses fisiologi. Ini akan membantutkan pertumbuhan padi dan menghilangkan kemampuan untuk menghasilkan beras. Manusia yang memakan padi yang mempunyai kandungan besi yang tinggi tersebut boleh menyebabkan hemokromatosis, penyakit hati, masalah jantung dan diabetes. Bagi mangan pula, kandungan unsur ini juga tinggi di kawasan yang terjejas di Papar dan ianya tidak menunjukkan perbezaan yang ketara di kawasan yang separa terjejas dengan tidak terjejas, iaitu Kota Belut dan Tambunan. Mangan juga tinggi dalam sawah padi di tempat terjejas kerana kegunaan jalan raya oleh kereta semakin meningkat. Kereta yang melalui jalan raya PEN Borneo akan melepaskan mangan melalui penipisan tayar kereta. Tayar yang diperbuat daripada keluli mangan boleh menyebabkan mangan tersebut dilepaskan di jalan raya apabila geseran berlaku antara tayar dan jalan raya. Mangan ini juga adalah komponen penting dalam pembinaan aspal jalan raya selain menggunakan besi. Unsur ini boleh membahayakan sawah padi kerana mangan boleh menyebabkan klorosis dan bintik coklat nekrotik justru mengurangkan kadar pertumbuhan. Mangan boleh menyebabkan penyakit seperti penyakit Parkinson, penyakit Alzheimer dan penyakit Huntington. Magnesium dalam tanah telah menunjukkan kandungan tinggi di satu kawasan yang terjejas dan satu kawasan tidak terjejas. Kedua-dua merupakan tempat air masuk. Magnesium dalam tanah sangat tinggi di tempat tersebut kerana penggunaan simen yang digunakan semasa pembinaan lebuh raya. Simen yang mengandungi magnesium oxide digunakan untuk membuat parit dan terowong air untuk jalan raya. Semasa pembinaan jalan raya, simen ini telah bercampur dengan air dan mengalir ke sawah padi tersebut. Magnesium merupakan unsur penting bagi padi, tetapi jika kandungan magnesium yang tinggi di tanah ini boleh menyebabkan terbantutnya tumbuh besaran pada padi. Magnesium yang ini juga boleh menyebabkan masalah kesihatan pada manusia jika mereka memakan padi yang tinggi dengan magnesium, dan contoh penyakit yang boleh timbul adalah penyakit buah pinggang, tekanan darah rendah, kelemahan otot, pengaliran elektrik yang tidak normal di jantung, gangguan pernafasan, dan serangan jantung.
Menurut standar kualiti air negara untuk Malaysia, unsur besi dan mangan telah melebihi had yang telah ditetapkan untuk pengairan dalam sawah padi. Manakala bagi tanah, tidak ada standard yang telah ditetapkan oleh negara Malaysia, tetapi menurut standard yang telah ditetapkan oleh United Nations, hanya terdapat untuk mangan sahaja dan tidak tersedia untuk unsur besi dan magnesium. Secara keseluruhan, keputusan untuk kandungan besi, mangan dan magnesium dalam air dan tanah tersebut adalah tinggi di kawasan yang terjejas dan separa terjejas oleh pembinaan PEN Borneo berbanding di tempat yang tidak terjejas. Pencemaran logam berat membawa kepada masalah kesihatan manusia dan menjadi ancaman berterusan kepada alam sekitar. Kaedah pembersihan secara konvensional sering terjejas oleh kos yang tinggi, sedangkan penyingkiran pencemar tidak efektif. Sebagai alternatif, teknik fitoremediasi menjadi pilihan utama disebabkan oleh kesan sampingan minimum terhadap alam sekitar dengan kos rawatan yang munasabah. Fitoremediasi adalah kaedah yang menggunakan tumbuhan untuk merawat tanah atau air yang tercemar dengan bahan pencemar organik, bukan organik ataupun logam berat. Banyak spesies tumbuhan yang berkebolehan untuk menyerap logam berat di tanah atau air, dan Sabah merupakan salah satu negeri yang mempunyai biodiversity yang tinggi. Ini menunjukkan Sabah mempunyai banyak jenis tumbuhan yang berkemungkinan boleh digunakan sebagai penapis untuk logam berat dari PEN Borneo. Contoh kejayaan menggunakan fitoremediasi dapat dilihat daripada pencapaian oleh Anthony Wong. Beliau telah menggunakan kaedah fitoremediasi untuk merawat air tersebut daripada tercemar dengan logam berat. Beliau telah menanam beberapa tumbuhan iaitu pokok semalu, teratai, pokok ekor kucing, gondok air, dan bunga-bunga syurga. Hasilnya, air tersebut telah bersih dan dikategorikan sebagai kelas 1. Tumbuhan mampu menyerap logam berat dan membersihkan air dan tanah yang telah tercemar. Jika tumbuhan ini digunakan dan disimpan di salur air masuk atau parit di lebuh raya, ianya mampu menyerap bahan-bahan logam berat daripada lebuh raya tersebut. Solusi ini bukan sahaja dapat menjaga air atau tanah, tetapi mampu mengurangkan kos perbelanjaan untuk membersihkan bahan toksik daripada lebuh raya tersebut. Teknologi hijau ini mampu membuat lebuh raya itu lebih mesra alam dan mengurangkan kerosakan pada alam sekitar. Kami mengharapkan agar kaedah ini diketahui ramai dan diimplikasi dengan segera di Sabah sebelum kita kehilangan padi dan alam sekitar.
Kami ingin merakamkan jutaan terima kasih kepada College University Yayasan Sabah,
Forever Sabah Institute,
dan para panelis yang hadir. Saya Afif.
Saya Brian. Terima kasih.
Dan kekal selamat.
Well, thank you both for that. Some really important technical, health and food issues brought up there. That was very impressive. So now we have
Sorry, Sylvia, your video is off.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Yes, I was just saying that was very pertinent in technical health and food issues. And we are now going to have a little pause while we wait for, is it Jackie's group next or Johnson's then?
So we're gonna go with group 5 first. But yeah, we'll give a little bit of breathing room.
Okay.
Does in the meantime, does group 3 want to say anything while I
Correct.
Oh yeah, sorry. Would group 3 like to have any closing remarks?
Yes. So I hope you all enjoy the video, and I would like to thank you all for listening and paying attention to our video. And I hope you get all the messages and the problem that we're facing nowadays toward our paddy field. And I hope that our finding will be as a baseline for government or policymaker in Sabah to mitigate this issue regarding our paddy field. And I hope the way to mitigate the paddy field is using the green technology that we recommended, phytoremediator. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Afif, would you like to add anything?
Not a long one. Just we hope that, yeah, as my teammate said before, I hope that this video will keep macam inspirational to other people, that we will when we doing some infrastructure, we need to take consideration of our surrounding, and we must keep in the conserving the nature at the same time going forward in memajukan kita punya negara. That's all from me. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well done. Okay. Are we ready with group 5? Yes. Group 5 video is ready. So over to you, Jackie.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Very good evening and welcome to our esteemed guests. We are from group 5. We will present about the impact of infrastructure development of the rural area at PITAS Sabah. So we are from the business administrations subject. Yeah. Enjoy the video.
Hello everyone. So this is a small town which is PITAS at Sabah. In this video, I will show you how bad is the condition of the road at PITAS. As we can see here, the road is badly damaged. They need help. Badly damaged.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Hello and welcome everyone. So this is our title of case study research. That is the impact of infrastructure development on rural communities that located at PITAS Sabah. So our group members have 3 persons, that is Jackie Chu, is me, Darren Lee, and Alvin Collin. So I will pass to my member to talk about the next thing. Thanks.
Background of study. Infrastructure. The basic structure of an organization or system which is necessary for its operation. Example like public water, energy, and system for communication and transport. Rural area is less populated than urban areas. The population density of urban is higher than the rural. Activities performed in both areas are different. Land and use and land reforms also differs.
PITAS and green infrastructure. Here is the 17 SDG goals. The green infrastructure is effective, economical, and enhance community safety and quality of life. Green infrastructure investment boosts the economy, enhance community with health and safety, and provide recreation, wildlife, and other benefits. This is also responding to the global goals for sustainable development goals. The sustainable development goals for this study is that by enhancing the rural development in PITAS, it will contribute to sustainable development goals. How will it? The first one will be SDG 1, which is for no poverty, equal rights to economic resources. The next one will be SDG 4 for the for quality education, means for equal access to information through good internet. The last one will be SDG 8, which is decent work and economic growth, economic production through diversification, technological upgrading innovation. Here is the map of PITAS. We will be focusing on only the blue line because it's the highway of Pan Borneo also. And rural development in PITAS Sabah. PITAS is in Malay is called Pekan PITAS. The PITAS district is in the Kudat division in Sabah, Malaysia. Its population was estimated increased to 43,018 in 2015. The predominantly of ethnics in PITAS Sabah such as Kadazan Dusun of Rungus, Orang Sungai, and Tombono Disen, with a small number of Malaysian, Chinese, and other ethnic minorities. Due to its geographical isolation and the general unsuitability of the land of agriculture, PITAS has one of the highest rate of poverty in Sabah, which is 53.6%, NST of September 2020. In PITAS also, the infrastructure development was intended to improve the standard of living, including the increase of the local revenue, social status, and overcome the unemployment issues. The Sabah Infrastructure Plan, the state government in Sabah has said that it will continue to keep its primary focus on the development of high-impact infrastructure projects, because this is to ensure the continued growth and well-being of the people and to their overall quality of life. The construction of infrastructure such as road, public facilities, housings is considered also a first step in rural communities development. The infrastructure leading to improvement in education, providing employment opportunities that supports the nation's economic expansion. Here is some photos from PITAS Sabah. As you can see, the road. As you can see in this photo, that the car is not very easy to cross the road because it's not been properly done yet. The problem statement in this study is that it has the highest poverty rate in Sabah. The economic activities has become challenges due to infrastructure problems such as the road infrastructure, unstable or inadequate internet connection like Pita Sabah, the exclusion and isolation that involves the inequality of infrastructure development in urban and rural areas, especially in Pita Sabah. The infrastructure are not as well developed as compared to the urban or outskirt areas. This has affected the quality of life of the communities that lives in the rural areas. Therefore, in this study, we are focusing specifically in the road infrastructure and communication infrastructure issues in rural areas in Pita Sabah.
Research objectives. So it is to assess the impact of infrastructure development on rural communities in Pita Sabah. The infrastructure involved in this case study is highways and communication service. The second one is to identify the impact of road infrastructure improvement on the rural communities Pita Sabah. The third one is to examine the impact of communication infrastructure improvement on the rural communities in Pita Sabah. So in this question, one of our questionnaire, we can see that female are most likely to answer this questionnaire. There are 21 of them, while there are only 10 of them are male. Those who are aged between 19 to 24 years old are most likely the one who answer this questionnaire, while the least of them are from 47 to 57 years old, 58 to 68 years old, and 69 years old and above, which is only one of them. So here are the ethnic who answer questionnaire in this area. Kadazan is the highest, while following by Bajau and Bugis, which is one of them. Moving on to the next, we can see there is only 2 types of religion, which is 16 of them are Christian and 15 of them are Muslim. Number of household, 3 to 5, there are 17 of them, and then the least is 8 to 10 people, which is 1 only. How long has your family lived here? So we can see there are 10 of them already live here since 16 to 25 years, and 3 of them are 5 years or below. What is the highest level of education or school you have complete? 80 of them are complete secondary school, and then following by the second highest are 10 of them complete bachelor degree. What is your current main job? Lorry driver, there are 5 of them. And then following by teacher, clerk, and student, there is only 1 of them. Household income family. So there is 13 of them at the range of 1,500 to 2,499 ringgit. Then the list is from 0 ringgit to 920 ringgit, which is 1. What do you think if the road is upgraded? So as we can see here, there is 26 of them are strongly agree, and following by agree but with condition, there are 4 of them. There's only 1 of them is not agree. What is your perception if the road construction project is implemented? 13 of them not sure, and then 11 of them is strongly agree, or the least is not agree. What do you think if communication service is upgraded? So there is 25 of them strongly agree, and then there's only 2 of them is strongly disagree. What is your perception if the communication service improvement project is implemented? So there is 11 of them is strongly agree, and then also 11 of them is not sure.
Okay, so I will talk about our discussions. So the first is the negative impact is that many of villagers' cars are damaged because the road is not good. Yeah. The second one is it is hard to go somewhere. For example, like go to towns for buying some things they need, or go to another state. Yeah, something like that. Other than, as for the palm oil industry, it costs a lot of money to go to their farm. It because the road was damaged and slippery. So with the cost of that, the cost of repairs is increased. So it's not easy for them. Okay, so we go to the suggestions. The first is to improve the road in stage. So the stage we can say it based on the kilometer. Examples, 50 kilometers for each constructions first. Other than to improve the development gradually to be comparable to other areas. Last but not least, repairing the roads without damaging the forest. So I think this is the most important points because we have emphasis on the green infrastructure, so we should prioritize that the forest conservation to avoid cutting down the trees for the road constructions or repairing. So yeah, this is how the way we take care of the natures, avoid to damage the forest. Yeah, that's all. Okay, so about the research questions from us, that is, does the road infrastructure improvement have impact on the rural communities in Pita Sabah? And does the communication infrastructure improvement have impact on the rural communities in Pita Sabah? So just that. Okay, so the last one we go to the conclusions. So our conclusion is we return on the objective of the study, which was to provide elements of understanding on the dynamics of rural and peri-urban territories. For the examples, we are combining the regional science and was more explicitly dedicated to rural development and the policy. Yeah. So other than the planning's boundaries for roads and assessing the associated environmental effects are often based on the socio-economic considerations. There is a mismatch between the planning scales and the spatial scales at which ecological system operate. Yeah, in this part, this mismatch results because there are a few legal incentives or disincentives to consider the environmental effects beyond political jurisdictions, and thus the decisions making remains the primarily local. Yeah. So just that's all from us. Thank you for everyone for spending time to listen to our case studies. Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. There's some really important points brought up there about an area of Sabah that is often ignored, right? So do you have any last things you'd like to say, either of you?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. We just want to say the Pitas need something to advance the people out there, and many products in Pitas that cannot be taken out or commercialized because of the infrastructure and the communications, as we said and on the slide. Yeah. And thanks for everyone for watching our case studies research.
Darren, is that no? Any other comments from your team?
We hope that our studies about Pitas give people to have aware of Pitas Sabah, because recently also there has a connection problem with the case of the girl who's trying to find internet connection up in the trees. So yeah, I hope that people are aware of our studies in Pitas Sabah.
I've got a question for you both. Do either of you come from up there?
Actually, the information that I get is from my friends that live at Pitas.
Ah, okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So now we have a short pause while we're uploading the last but not least film, which is from Johnson and Mohammed Adsley. So I'm going to hand over to our my colleague Jan, to take over for a few minutes.
Hi, certainly. Thank you so much to all the groups who have presented so far. We're still waiting for just one more group to be presenting, so just sit tight. We'll get that sorted very soon. In the meantime, we do have the results from the first poll. I'm quite eager to share. Hope you guys are quite eager to see as well. Let's check it out. So can you guys see this? Do you feel evidence and data from scientists and researchers is incorporated sufficiently into environmental impact assessments? So 39 responses respond for yes, and 27 people respond for no. So that's about 59% for yes. Very good. Okay, we'll be collecting that. We actually have another poll, if I can share that now. Let's see. So here we go. Do you feel the Environment Protection Department has enough resources to be able to monitor infrastructure projects? I'll leave this on for maybe another minute or so. We have confirmation that Kenneth has the next video prepared. So once we have this done, we can start with the introductions from the last group. So even panelists, you also can vote and choose an answer for this poll. I feel like I get a sort of sneak peek because I get to see the results happening in real time before I choose to share it. So I'm like, close race, maybe. For the current panelists who are judging, this is also a good time to put down your marks on the score sheet, as we're going to start with the last one. In just a few more moments, I think I will end this poll. And maybe we can share the results later on. So we can move on to the next group right now. Sylvia, or maybe the group would like to go ahead. Back to you guys.
Yes, over to you, the last group. Thank you.
Sorry, Kenneth, do we have the video ready?
Meet AJ and Johnson, two young students with a curious mind about two wonderful creatures, the butterfly and bird. They are on their way to meet up with their lecturer. Hello, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a question regarding the previous lectures. Oh, hello, both of you. Do you need something?
If you guys come here just to ask for additional marks for your tests, that's still a no. Damn it, how did you know that? Just kidding, sir. We just wanted to ask sir some question about something.
Anyway, sir, about the previous lecture, the topic mentioned about impact of roads toward animal in the forest. The main focus animals always on big terrestrial animals, such as the elephant, right? Yes, it's true, because plenty of research was done mainly on big animal.
So, we here want to ask, what about small flying animals? Especially the beautiful flying creature such as the birds and the butterfly. And by the way, we also want to know how birds and butterfly can actually help us.
Just say that you guys want us to help in your final year project. Oops, bastard. Anyway, sir, can you please share us your wisdom? We are just curious about it. Okay, why not? By the way, I will explain the importance of the two animals and Sir Q help with the rest. Okay, Sir Q?
Okay, sure. So L?
So, I will explain how birds and butterflies are so important to us. Okay, sir. Butterflies and birds communities have played a major importance toward the environment. Butterflies and birds are aesthetically magnificent. They add up colors to the deep forest. Flower garden, and even city. Because they are visually attractive, they always become interesting subjects to learn, especially for younger children. For a quick example, the transformation from egg to caterpillar to chrysalis is one of the wonders of nature that everyone knows, even young kids. Watching and listening to the heavenly bird song also can relieve stress. Could you imagine a world without the visual and acoustic beauty of avian creatures? Butterflies and birds are extremely important groups of model organisms used, including such as diverse fields as navigation, pest control, evolution, genetics, and biodiversity conservation. Butterflies are known as useful indicators for ecologists and conservationists, both for their rapid and sensitive response to subtle habitat or climate change. It is because butterflies are extremely sensitive to changes in temperature, humidity, and light level, which are typically the results of habitat disturbance. Birds and butterflies provide a lot of ecosystem services. Birds as pollinators. They fertilize flowers and fruit trees. Without pollinators, we will not have durian, rambutan, and bananas. Birds also eat insects, providing humans with pest control. It controls the frog population. Similar like birds, butterflies They do pollination by accident when they land on the flower to drink its food, nectar. Then pollen from the flower will accidentally stick to the butterfly legs and body. When they move from one plant to another, the pollen seeds gets distributed, ensuring the continuation life cycle of a plant. Birds and butterflies have always been important to Sabah economy. While everyone is talking about ecotourism, beaches, mountains, cultures, and food of Sabah, it is little known that the sport of birdwatching has become one of the most successful subgenres of wildlife tourism in all of Malaysia. Bird watchers or birders make up some of the high-yield tourists who spend 3 times more than the average common tourist. While most tourists will spend 3 to 7 days in Sabah for sightseeing, bird watchers will spend a minimum of 10 days to 2 weeks to fully see as many birds as they can when in Sabah. To give you an idea of bird watchers from around the world, the following is an estimate of how many bird watchers there are from each region of the world. In America, there is an estimate 46 million bird watchers with around 18 million that travels overseas for bird trips. In United Kingdom, estimate of 6 million bird watchers and 2 million are very active and travel. In Netherlands, estimate of 140,000 bird watchers. Japan, 35,000 bird watchers. China, 21,000 bird watchers. And Hong Kong, around 2,000 members. From there, you can imagine tapping just 1% of those numbers from each country, and it will be a huge number for Sabah. There are a lot of important birding areas in Sabah. For example, Kinabalu Park, Danum Valley Conservation Area, Tabin Wildlife Reserve, Lahad Datu, Rainforest Discovery Center, Sandakan, Boring Hot Spring, Ranau, Kinabatangan River, Kota Kinabalu Wetland, and Kota Belut Bird Sanctuary. One of the most famous ecotourism event attraction in Sabah is the Borneo Bird Festival that held annually by Borneo Bird Club, who is also the organizer of Malaysia's largest bird fair, in the Rainforest Discovery Center, Sepilok, Sandakan. International bird photographers also always chosen Sabah as their top list of must-visit places because Sabah has so many bird species that only can be found in here. To be exact, out of 688 species birds found in Sabah, 54 species are endemic to Borneo Island, and 33 species are endemic only to Sabah. Same goes to the 956 species of butterflies, which about 10% are endemic, that attract international butterfly enthusiasts. In fact, we cannot deny that majority of international tourists come to Sabah is to see its rich biodiversity, not city of skyscraper building or modern facilities. As you can see, birds and butterflies provide a lot of importance toward the ecosystem, the livelihood of people, and the economy of Sabah. So you are definitely wrong if you only think of bird just simply a flying pest that poop on top of your car, or the annoying and gross caterpillar that barely eats some leaves of your planted flowers or vegetables. They are really important to us, similar like bees as the most important pollinator or bat as the biological pest police officer. Can you imagine if birds and butterflies disappear from Sabah? or even a single species of it. You may think there is no problem to lose one or two species of them, but remember, the Earth, its ecosystem, and its creatures are all deeply connected. Thus, the existence of many species depends on the survival of others, and don't think human beings are an exception. In fact, all species have their own important role in the natural ecosystem where it originally came from. If we do not put effort in protecting them, otherwise there will be no healthy rainforest. It is because of decrease of bird or butterfly species, followed by decrease in pollination and seed dispersal activities that should be carried out by birds and butterfly naturally in their forest habitat. It becomes even worse when the only bird or butterfly plant-specific species extinct. This will also mean the extinction of the specific plant species, hence affecting other animals in the food chain and food web, which also including us. Overall, defaunation will threaten to destabilize ecosystem functioning globally. We also could lose our endemic species, similar like we experienced the great loss of our last Sumatran rhinoceros. Hence, this will reduce the aesthetic values of Sabah as biodiversity hotspot. Losing our interesting or endemic species also may reduce major economic income of Sabah because bird and butterfly related ecotourism involve everyone in the tourism chain, from tower operators, hotels, to boatmen and restaurant workers. Can you imagine how many people involved in this industry will lose their source income? So, this is why we should protect birds and butterflies.
I understand. Sir, one of the mega projects in Sabah is Pan-Borneo Highway. Will this impact the butterfly and bird communities?
Yes, you are right. Pan-Borneo Highway is one of the mega projects in Sabah. There is a limited study on the highway impact to the butterfly and bird communities in Sabah, but I can explain the potential impact based on related study to you guys. Hey bro, you should learn a lot from that, right?
Yeah, it sure is informative to learn about that. Speaking on the topic, how about we make a video about this to share with other people?
Yeah, let's do it.
First of all, we take a look at the construction roads that are happening around the world. The construction of roads has already cut through dense tropical forests in the world, such as what's happening in Amazon, Brazil. Same goes to what happened in Central African rainforest. Teso Nilo National Park in Riau, Sumatra. Also, in recently the new coal haul road that slices through Sumatra's Harapan forest. There are likely no tropical forests in the world that are not sliced and fragmented by road infrastructure, and yet there's more and more purpose in that area. The situation can be seen in Sabah from the Pan-Borneo Highway Development Project. If you don't know, the Pan-Borneo Highway is a mega project consisting of 2,083 kilometers, 4-lane highway that will run from the southwestern tip of Sarawak to northern edge of Sabah. There has been a major concern as the proposed area will possibly cut through many forest reserves. Forest reserves in Sabah are very important for the wildlife as it provides them a shelter, availability of food source, and most importantly keep them protected from various harm. But how can Pan-Borneo affect the wildlife? It can appear as a whole new world for the animals, as they have to struggle with the appearance of highway paved through their wild habitat. It also could lead to fragmented forests. More road usually lead to more human development, such as house commercial areas and agriculture activities, thus destroying what the animals call home. We know that road can bring many advantages for us that can be used as a medium of transportation and economic development. But we also gotta think that we are not the only one inhabit the environment. Other organisms also need to survive.
Wow, it sure is tough for the animals to inhabit areas that are affected by road development, huh?
Yeah, bro. That's why we are doing this video to provide information for everyone.
Yeah, that's right. So Johnson, you have already learned from the lecturers and based on your own research. Can you tell us more about the butterflies, how the road affect them, and maybe some story on road-induced effect on this species?
Okay, sure. So let's get into narration mode. The first possible impact is increase of butterfly roadkills. According to Monas et al. 2015, impacts of roads on insects can be separated into four main topics. Firstly, construction of the road itself. Secondly, insect mortality due to collision with vehicles. Thirdly, effect of road as barriers to butterfly dispersal. And finally, effect of pollutants associated with the use and maintenance of the road. However, among the four main impacts, Munoz et al. Mentioned that immediate effect of road construction on butterflies do not seem affecting butterfly communities. Instead, butterflies are often associated with collision with vehicles based on evidence from various papers. Why roadkill? Because invertebrates in general, but especially insects, are often struck or run over when they try to cross the road. In a recent study of butterfly roadkills in Mahendra Highway, Nepal, by Gaudal et al. 2020, they found that traffic volume has greater effect on the population composition and cause of exceeding roadkill in the butterfly individual. Butterfly species that are commonly occurring will be killed in more number with deadly collisions to the vehicle. The authors also said that, based on their result, butterfly individuals in the forest landscape have been counted as the maximum roadkill than the living butterfly in human settlement. This is probably the butterfly species are strongly related to the availability of the heterogeneous composition of nectar plant species in the forest verges. The second potential impact is Pan-Borneo Road that propose to cut through forest reserve may act as a barriers to dispersal of rainforest butterflies. In some cases, roads and linear clearing can create barriers to faunal movement. Evidence for avoidance of butterfly toward edges and clearing can be seen by study of effect of forest edges on the community structure of tropical fruit-feeding butterflies by Armstrong 2010 in Danam Valley Conservation Area. He, in his result, shown that there were no difference between community composition between the forest and the edge. However, he concluded that even small levels of forest clearance canopy opening may impact butterfly community structure. Besides that, a recent study by Scriven et al. 2016 in 4 sites spanning forest oil palm plantation in Sabah. They concluded while oil palm plantation may be relatively permeable to some species, they may act as a barrier to the movement of forest-dependent species such as Agathasa caledonia, Dophala evelina, and Protofrank. It is because roads are more extreme diurnal temperature variation, higher light levels, increased evaporation rates, and lower humidity compared with forests. And so, forest-dependent species that prefer shaded, cooler conditions may actively avoid crossing boundaries. Therefore, based on these studies, possible impact of Pan-Borneo Highway toward butterflies, especially forest-dependent species, are road mortality, and barriers to their dispersal.
Wow, very interesting and insightful information, Johnson. Roadways have various negative effects on bird communities. These effects include an increase in mortality rate, changing the pattern of bird distribution due to constant traffic noise, and habitat fragmentation by creating a barrier to the bird's natural movement. For example, on Pulau Langkawi, a study was conducted to evaluate roadkill events and site in order to identify contributing factors. Incidents of roadkills may offend tourists and even pose risk to tourist drivers, especially when Langkawi is highly regarded as nature tourist hotspot. Based on the table below, there are some avian species such as the pied hornbill that are affected by the roadkills. This shows that potential impact of birds that inhabit near road area will be facing more of roadkill issues, thus lead to the declining in its population near the area. So, according to research by Kamcha, a study of road-induced edge effect on bird communities are carried out in tropical Asia, in which the sites are called Sekarat Environmental Research Station, located in Thailand. This is the only study that focuses on roadside impact on avian communities in Asia regions, which shows that there are limited studies on this topic. The study highlights that potential of road development may lead to creation of road edge effect, which can be seen act as barrier for the birds and can affect its genetic diversity, species distribution abundance, and nest survival, which ultimately lead to local species extinction. Edge effect also lead to the change in some of the forest environment, such as resulting in the increase of traffic noise and changing the vegetation structure of a forest. Noise may have a significant effect on avian communities, such as it can distract birds, making them more vulnerable to predation and disrupting the singing or pairing during breeding season, which are avoided by some avian gills, such as the green-legged partridge and the flat-throated babel, which the type of birds that are vocally communicative. There are also similar studies in Melbourne, Australia, in one bird species which are the grey-striped thrush. The acoustic interference making it more difficult for birds to establish and maintain territories, attract mates, and maintain pair bonds, ultimately reduce the breeding success in noisy roadside habitat. Also, nestling may need to call louder to elicit the desired response from their parents, thereby increasing the energetic cost of obtaining food and potentially decreasing fitness. Other factors that are influenced from potential impact of road development are the vegetation structure of the forest. The lower richness and abundance of insectivore near the edge may be explained by the relatively unsuitable microhabitats created by the increased understory density and reduced canopy cover, which lead to higher light intensity, higher temperature, and lower humidity. These structural changes may have negatively affected some of the avian species, such as the black-napped monarch, orange-breasted trogon, and whereas the greater cover at ground level may be an obstacle for the flat-throated babel. In contrast, the forest interior area had a more complex vegetation structure with a higher basal area, higher density of larger trees, more vegetation layer, and less ground cover, which provide more resources and benefit for most of the bird communities, thus high in species richness and abundance on that area.
In general, the potential impact of road development can negatively affect the butterflies and birds population, and if not handled properly, will surely lead to the extinction of the species in the future. Birds and butterflies have major importance in the environment, such as carrying out pollination in dispersals of seed, and also act as bioindicator for the environment. Today, there's still limited study in Asia regarding these two flying species, so we should do more studies for more discoveries on this beautiful species. Act now for them before it's too late, for the benefit of the wildlife and also for the benefit of us to live.
So that is all from us. This is our video.
Wow, thank you very much. That was extremely comprehensive, a lot of information in there. Yeah, so thank you very much to all of you. There's obviously a lot of hard work gone into all of those presentations. So we're running slightly behind time now. So I think we're going to go straight into opening the floor to the panelists to start asking questions to the presenters. Have any of you panelists got your burning questions ready that you would like to ask?
I have one, a few, Sylvia.
Ah, okay.
Okay, let me put on my video. I am sorry, but the last presentation, I was distracted by the sound quality or the lack of sound quality. And I didn't get the solutions that was proposed. Can you quickly just say what are the solutions that was proposed? The last group.
AJ, Johnson, can you guys reply?
The bird and butterfly group, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, hello. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
So for the mitigation impact, based on our research, such as we identifying and protecting the important habitat can minimize the impact of road development. So the birds tend to be in an area where there are water source. When there are water source, because as we know, in area that have water source, have much resource, food resource, and that is where the high abundance of species of birds are usually there. So when we developing roads or road infrastructure, it is important that we do not like disturb places that has like water source, because this can affect the habitat or the habitat of place for the birds and butterflies. Thus, if we disrupt this, it can affect its population, thus will lead to local species extinction in the near future. So that's from me. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Thanks. I've got a string of questions, Sylvia. Can I just ask them and point to who I want to, just let it go one shot, and then and the various groups can answer, take their turns to answer. Is that okay, Sylvia?
Yes, Darryl, go ahead.
Okay, so to group number the one where you talk about Papar and what was it? Group number one, the first presentation. So I was curious to see that you mentioned the population of Papar is 5,894. Surely that must be wrong. Can you correct that? That's one question. The second question is, so your surveys that you did, it shows quite a high percentage of the respondents were youths. I want to know if that is that representative of the demographics of the population in Papar. And I could not see the link between the findings of your surveys and your solutions. How did the solutions link up to the findings of your survey? So those are three questions for group number one. Group number two, which is on solar panels. So one of the big things about solar panels is the high cost, the high upfront cost, right? I don't recall you discussing this. Was it in the discussion or not? How to overcome the high upfront cost of solar power? For the third group, which is the rice experiments, I lost the story of when I saw water hyacinths as one of the proposed solutions. I saw water hyacinths on the river. I wasn't sure, was the suggestion to use water hyacinths to absorb the heavy metals? If so, have you considered that water hyacinths like that are highly invasive and cause problems in Sabah waters? Okay, that's all my questions, Sylvia.
Okay, would group one like to start with the responses?
For the first question about the population of Papar, because we entirely using online source for this, for the population, so that was the latest we can find out. That is from 2010. It said that is the population of Papar at that time. For the second question, may I have a little bit time because we still writing the answer.
Okay. What was there a third question, Daryl, for group one?
Yeah, I think there was. I could not understand the link between the surveys and the solutions. Right, the results of the surveys and the solutions, I could not see the link. And also in the solution, I recall there was one sentence where you said plant 10 trees along the road. Why 10? Okay.
Okay, group one, would you like more time to prepare your answers and then we can come back to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so group two then, solar powered group, would you like to answer Daryl's queries?
Can we ask for a little bit more time? Yeah.
Sure. Who's ready? Group three?
Hello. For the question, it's about the do we agree using water hyacinth flower to absorb heavy metal? Basically, yes. Although it is invasive species, you can do like provide a net like a starting point and the finish point, which you can close the invasive plant before he going spread. Just providing that it is not that high maintenance. You just need to close it before it becomes invasive all along the water.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Fifth group and fourth group, were there questions, answers from you? No? Okay, while we're waiting for groups to, group one to get its answers ready, Tuan Vitalis, do you have any points you'd like to bring up with the student groups or questions?
Yeah, okay, thank you, Sylvia. I think it's quite five presentation and quite interesting and some good videos and okay. I'd like to first about the group 3. I think they did mention about using plants to absorb heavy metals in waters and land. Maybe if they can discuss further or suggest further, if they have looked into how to integrate this design in the road design, way to put it, or in terms of practicality, and maybe if they can discuss further or explain further on this one. And for the solar group, they did, I think similar with that to Daryl, I think they have highlighted all the benefits or the goods of renewable energy through solar. But if they can discuss further how to promote this using solar in Sabah, particularly in Sabah, do you have any ideas or suggestion how to promote this? And for the last group, of course, I think it's good. I'm happy to hear. As I mentioned, I study ecology, and they did look into about birds and butterflies. They are good indicators in the environment. But my question is, because the topic was in relation to Pan Borneo Highway in Kawang Forest Reserve and Ulu Kukut Forest Reserve. So it was not discussed in this area, or this presentation in general, or referring to this tool forest reserve. So, okay, thank you, Sylvia. Yeah.
Yes, the butterflies and birds group. Would you like to comment on that?
Hello. This is group 5. Actually, we have already changed our title. Not specific on forest, on the Kawang and Ulu Kukut Forest Reserve, but overall, the general impact on the forest reserve in Sabah.
Okay, so there was a change of title, Vitalis. Maybe
yeah, we already informed
through to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Janet, any comments or questions?
Yes, hi. I've got a couple of questions. The first one goes to group 1. I'm curious why they chose Papar to Kina Road, because that stretch of road is almost like just the first outskirt of the city, and you have got major industries up Kimanis Way, which is your Sabah oil and gas terminal. So which means that the road passing by is actually a very busy area, and for future it's even going, it's going to be even more busier. So in terms of impact on the environment, I think it's minimal, because our urbanization, our growth is actually going that way. Yeah. So that is one question I need to ask. Why chose that particular stretch, which I think, you could have chosen something somewhere more rural to actually feel the impact. And then I've responded on the population, which was not right. And I've just checked the statistics. Yeah. So, and I think Dr. has mentioned about the representation is very restrictive to young people, and that doesn't give you the overall understanding of the issues and challenges that the population feels. And also the response from the people that was interviewed and surveyed, because within this COVID period, you got to take into account that a lot of these emotions or things, the words that comes out actually reflect how they feel, what they see, rather than the optimistic feeling that they may have for Pan Borneo road going past their place. So I think the assumptions there, you need to revisit it again. I think it doesn't reflect really what the road capacity and opportunities is there for the people. I like the idea of the green corridor, but I think that is already actually being written into the highway codes and JKR code. But this doesn't mean that you cannot actually come up with a bit more creative ideas on the stretch that has not been commissioned yet, and identify where are the stretches which you think is practical to have a larger corridor. I think at the moment, oh gosh, we got very bad lightning here. The 100 meters on both sides. So what type of green corridor, it would be good to actually come up with more specific ideas and suggestions on how you would like to see it and the impact of that. So that is for group 1, okay? And as for the group 4, let me just check what is my group 4, what reference to group 4, which one? This is the PITAS one. I find that, the video itself was just going all over the place, in the sense that the sequencing of roads are not quite there, because it doesn't give you a context of, you may have taken a picture of the rural road to say it's really bad, but the main road, as I see it, is being maintained, and it should continue to be maintained. The gravel road, the number of gravel roads and unpaved roads, obviously is something that Sabah government needs to actually put a lot more pressure on federal government for funding to actually increase the number of the kilometers of road to be paved in Sabah. Yeah. I think that's all for now. There's a lot of food for thought, but I think, I need to let the other people respond and question as well. Thank you.
Okay. Group 1, would you be able to answer why you chose Papar as your study area?
Hello. Why we choose Papar is actually, before the CMCO, we actually planned to go by ourselves to go to Papar and interview all the people there and the representative. But because of the CMCO happened, we cannot go back to Sabah. And then we already choose this topic. We cannot change it because we already start the our introduction of the topic. So that's actually why we choose Papar. And personally, because a few of us actually live in the area, so we actually know what happened there. So I actually from Kampung Kawang. So my grandmother have to relocate to other place to the back of the kampung because of the Pen Borneo. So when we discuss it, so when I input my opinion, so we decide to take Papar as our place of study. That's all for me.
Yes, understood. Are you ready to answer Daryl's question?
I will pass to Darlene for that question.
Okay.
Darlene?
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
You're very faint.
Can you hear me now?
That's better. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So to answer the 10 trees along the highway, it was actually just a rough amount of trees along the highway. And we suggest to plant trees in the urban areas where there isn't much trees over there. It is also our suggestion to plant trees to possibly prevent flood from happening. And this is just an explorative study. We are just suggesting solutions. And we have also not done a deeper study regarding this.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. Okay. Daryl's question to number 2. Is number 2 group ready to answer Daryl's question? Nazaruddin? About the solar power? Is Nasruddin still with us? Let me have a look. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Ah, yes.
Okay. For Mr. Daryl's question on is it to overcome the cost, right? So what we thought as a group was the quadruple helix. Like they can work together to obtain the cost much more less, like to overcome our
You're muted. I tell you what, Nazaruddin, if you don't mind to pause on that one, I've just been informed that Daryl is leaving in 4 minutes and would like to say something on the poll result. The poll result.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for the opportunity, Sylvia. No, I saw the poll result here, and I thought it's interesting. And I've always wondered, Vitalis, that how do you guys cope with all this, especially on the monitoring part? It's very difficult with so many projects. How could you cope, right? And I think the poll seems to suggest there is an issue of not enough resources. And I do agree. I think my own opinion from afar, I think the monitoring aspects needs a lot of manpower, right? But I don't know if EPD, in terms of manpower versus GDP, has the same, the proper amount of manpower that is required in a state that has this size of GDP. That's what I wanted to ask, actually.
Okay. Thank you, Datu. So, Sylvia, do I have to answer this or
no.
later?
It's up to you. We were just making an observation.
Okay, yeah. It's quite an interesting question, and I think what Datu has mentioned, and I think, as you know, manpower and resource is always a challenge to any department organization. There will be always not enough. So, but we have to come up with strategies. You see, there are a lot of strategies, and I think we have to. Okay. One way is because we have to keep up networking. We have to. We have been networking with villages, communities, okay, through awareness. We also have, we want the responsibility of managing the environment to be carried by all the project proponents. So as you know, we have started this concept of environmental self-regulation. Okay, I think we started it, and the other one is, I think now is all through ICTs. The state government of Sabah, I think, are now going for this digital government. Okay, so that will more or less assist or minimize the impact. But I think, as you mentioned, we have to come up with strategies. But of course, at the same time, manpower is always from time to time the government will increase our manpower. Even at the moment, there's some increases, and I think it's good. But I think the main thing is, I think for long term is awareness. We need to give awareness to everybody, and once everybody aware of that, about the importance to protect the environment, I think it's easier for us, for everybody to manage the environment. Ya, Datuk, but maybe kita boleh bincang lagi later. I think, yeah, it's just
Kopi after COVID.
Yeah, right.
Kopi after COVID.
Yes, of course. Yeah, but it's good sharing. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all. I enjoyed the presentation, one in particular, and I'll give my scores to one of you, I guess, later on. Bye-bye.
Okay, Daryl, thank you. Thank you very much. Vitalis, just to go back to what you were saying, I hope that from today that you feel that the awareness amongst this student group, at least, is very high. I personally am very hopeful when I listen to these students from UCSF, and I hope that they will be able to input into your, future strategies and future data gathering and future, awareness, basically, because the students are from a wide range of places in Sabah. And I think you agree with me that their heart is in the right place, right? Their awareness is high. So I hope this gives you hope.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Sylvia. As I mentioned, when our department was invited to be one of the panelists, I was really happy that we are invited, and seeing these students, these youths, when they, of course, this is maybe assignments, but with the limitation of MCO, but they managed to get all the information and do whatever, gather info or do analysis. And I think some of them have highlighted some of the important issues related to developments. I think that's good. And as you know, I think they will be the next leaders,
yes,
in our society in Sabah. And after graduating from university, some of them maybe become civil servants, some maybe become a contractor or developer. So at this age, that they already they know the importance of managing environment. I think later on, when they become when they explore further, and I think this awareness will be brought in their whatever they whatever they do in their future. But I think that's very important. That's what I am saying, that for long term, the awareness, environmental education, awareness is very important. So for me, these students, I think they will be our future leaders. Kan, lepas ini kita tiada lama pensiun sudah. But I think it's good. I'm happy that they have the ability to look into this, you see, and to look at the issues and relate it with development, you see, and that's good. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vitalis. Yes, now, James, we haven't had your comments yet, your comments and questions.
The last one to comment is always disadvantage.
Can you hold your microphone?
Okay, Can you hear me now?
A bit better, yes, thank you.
So I think the last speaker, last to comment, normally I'll be the disadvantage because most of the questions have been asked. Never mind. Now, I'm from a consulting engineering background, and in fact, we are one of the consultants for Penn Gordon Highway. Okay. So, when it comes to design of a highway, we've gone through a lot of time and processes. We have to follow guidelines, right? Especially guidelines from EPD, from Drainage Department, from JKR, and concern for the environment is always on the top line. During the design of highway, normally there were three options, design options, right? To weigh out the cost benefit, the social economic benefit of each option. And most of the time, the higher cost would be the one with the least environmental damage.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, the highest cost is not chosen in the value management exercise. So that is the beginning of the problem once you start implementing the highway. Because of budget constraint, the government did not approve one proposal which cost the highest, but delivering the least environmental impact. So some of those problems highlighted in these 5 groups today will not occur if the government has adopted the proposal with the higher cost. Having said that, I would like to pose a question to group 3. It's talking about the water quality inside the paddy field. That heavy metals have been detected. But in the design of the highway, before any of the discharge is allowed to happen, under drainage JPS or DID guidelines, we have to ensure there's a quality control. There will be a trap, sewer trap, gross pollutant trap to ensure that the discharge meets certain criteria. So I was surprised to hear that heavy metal has been detected inside the paddy field. Okay, or whether those tests you have actually, or water samples you have collected are actually representative, or actually is from the highway construction or not. Because under the construction specifications of the Penn Gordon Highway, the contractor is expected to do certain things under EPD or under EIA guidelines. One of them is siltation should not happen. Water quality discharge must be ensured. So if it's not being done, that means it is the contractor's fault for not complying to the specifications, and it is also the EPD's fault for not monitoring, or the EIA consultant appointed for that project for not monitoring the water quality of the work. Okay? And that is the last group regarding butterflies, talking about butterflies and birds, talking about forest reserve. Again, I would like to highlight that under the EPD guidelines, under the state guidelines, or JKR guideline and JPS guideline, we are not supposed to build a road in forest reserve area and forest conservation area. Okay, so so please be aware that there are enough rules and regulations in the state, in the country, which is trying to ensure that a proper highway can be built, and yet ensuring there's minimum environmental impact. So I haven't seen any of these proposals from the group which actually discuss this matter. They're assuming that from day one that any construction of road is bad for the environment. It causes environmental damage. It's not true. Yeah? Before any build of road, due diligence has been carried out, for sure, under many guidelines. Yeah? But this has not been mentioned. So having said that, I think that's about it for me. Thank you.
Okay, very, very pertinent comments, James. Thank you very much. So we are coming to the end now, but I do feel I need to allow poor Nasruddin to.
Yeah, hi. We can answer it now.
Yes,
We collected the answer we discussed. Okay. So we gathered we really critically think the answer for both Mr. Daryl and Mr. Vitalis' answer, and we think we can answer it in one answer. So the right solution is to require the quadruple helix, to apply that in terms of overcoming crisis and to promote renewable energy within the communities. Let's start by looking into the community itself. By starting down from the community, these are the movers for change. NGO, they can present a well-laid plan to explain why solar is useful to the community. And when the community understands the usefulness of this renewable energy, which is solar, they can increase the demand. And including the third partner is the academia, the academic bodies. They can support solar energy through research centers. They can conduct a research to support their demand for solar energy. And then coming up to the business side, the industry side of the quadruple helix, business side, they can present the high demand for solar energy. When the community understands the useful of the solar energy, solar energy use, there's demand. When there's demand, government can see this as the voice of their nation. So by urging the government to invest into renewable energy, they can come up with subsidies and green tax incentive. This is why quadruple helix is important when introducing an idea to create change in the communities. So when the government gives green tax incentives and subsidies, in return, this will promote more people and even people living in urbans to invest in solar energy panels. So it's a circular, what you call it? What comes around comes around. Yeah, I think that's clear, because we did find one video in India. They said that when the government invests to create a solar farm, large-scale solar farm, this will decrease the market for solar farm. That's what we understand. So it all depends on the synergy between these four bodies.
Yes, very true. Supply and demand, and consumers consumers are very powerful. Yes. Great. So I can see there's 2 questions have come in the question and answers. Both are being answered by people typing an answer. So do we, Jan, how do we deal with this?
You could ask them to talk about it publicly, which is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the question I can see at the moment is for group 3, do the paddy farmers know about the heavy metals being found in the water and soil in their paddy fields? If so, has it affected the quality of the harvested rice? That's for group 3. Anybody from group 3 like to answer that?
Yes, I would like to answer the questions. Oh yeah, regarding about informing the owner of the paddy field that we used to take the soil and water samples from them, we have not yet informed them, but as we informed them earlier when we're dealing with them, we're informing them any of the result that we get, we will share with them. We will inform them the quality, the current situation of the paddy fields, the soil and water especially. What will the effects of our findings towards the paddy, and regarding of the affected the quality of harvested rice, we not yet reached that part, that stage, but we plan on doing it, the same study on the same site regarding with the harvested rice. That's all from me. Hope it's answer your questions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Another question untuk kumpulan 2, berapa banyak syarikat di Sabah yang menjadi supplier kepada solar energy equipment? Group 2. How many solar energy equipment suppliers are there in Sabah?
The one that we recently discovered is Rand Hill Power, Easy Solar. This is what we came about, only 2.
2.
But I'm sure there's more.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that have come in. Am I right?
Hello, sorry.
Yes.
There are a second question about how I'm going design about the phytoremediator, as Mr. Vitalis questioning us. So my design is along the river, which is the inlet of the beside the Penberno. There's like a river which are used to irrigate the water. So my plan is, in my opinion, it's better if we plant the phytoremediator plant in the east transect of the river. So basically, when water comes from the runoff from the road, it can go like 3 or 4 phases of the phytoremediator before it goes to the paddy field. So basically, we can have the best water quality for the paddy field. So that's
Okay. Thank you. Right. I think we're ready to wrap up now. So we're going to give each panelist 1 minute to say your last burning comments on this event and the presentation. So I'm going to start with James. What are your closing remarks?
I was in the washroom just now. My closing remarks?
Yes.
On the 5 groups?
Yes, and the event as a whole, if you like.
The presentations are very good, I think. So it's quite a bit tough for us to do marking, to give the marks. It's quite close. Okay. And other than that, not really. I think you're only given 20 minutes. And the subject matters are quite diversified as such. And of course, one or 2 groups are not actually proposing enough green infrastructure development. In fact, they digressed away from the theme for a sustainable future. Not enough concrete green infrastructure development proposals. If you don't want this vote, so or you want to improve on it, so what are your suggestions? So other than that, the presentations from all the 5 groups in general are very good.
Thank you very much. Okay, Janet, your last remarks.
Okay. What I found is I think I shared a similar views with James in the sense that they spend a lot of time doing the descriptive part of it all, But when it actually comes to how are they going to address it, I think there are still limitations. But I do enjoy the modern way of this, displaying their skills in the IT, their videos and things like this, which is which is good, and it captures your attention, which is a good source of publicity, I guess. Yeah. But I think, some of the statement that has been made, they need to go back and double check it properly, because it cannot be something that we'll read in Daily Express tomorrow, because that some of them are not quite accurate. But these are assumptions, so we take it that about 40% of what is being said there, and we can mull over it and improve on it. I think that's all I can say. Thank you. Good start. Yeah.
Thank you, Janet. Right. I think Daryl's gone, so Vitalis, final words.
Okay. Thank you, Sylvia. As I mentioned earlier, overall, for me, I'm happy about this all the 5 presentation, and because this is for study purpose, I think they more or less they managed to identify the issues. But as mentioned, some of the panelists and even that to there just now, that it's good that if they can go further in finding the solution, and the solution should be if they can do more research on this one and based on more evidence, and because I think surely there'll be a lot of similar issues that they can look into and they can discuss whether it can be applicable here. And I think some of the presentation they did mention about they relate to the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, but as you know, the SDG, to have a sustainable development, we have at least the 3 components: the social, economics, and not only the environment. So if they can discuss it further in their issues and in their solution, I think it be, for me, it will more comprehensive, and then they will easy for them to discuss and look it further. Yeah, that's how I look at it. So, but overall, I think it's a good program, and as I mentioned, as students, university student, they are the future leaders, and I think I'm very happy that they from a young age they really started looking at the issues critically, and as mentioned, all the panelists that hope that they can contribute to the society in positive manners, and give solutions to any of our problems. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's great. So well done, everybody. I will remind everybody that tomorrow afternoon, please tune in tomorrow afternoon when there will be a full panel dialogue with all the panelists, and the results will be announced of the winning presentations. So before we go, I think we're going to take a group photo. Is that right, Jan?
Yes, could I please request that the students and the panelists all turn on their videos so we can have a quick screenshot of all the participants? Yeah, everyone's showing up. Wonderful. All right, let's just give it a few more seconds. And when I say 3, y'all give me your favorite pose. Okay, we'll take a few. All right. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Okay, one last one. That should be everyone. Okay. Yes, we have a few more people joining. Perfect. One last one. Okay. Big smiles. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. I suppose this concludes the event. And the last request for the panelists, we have sent you a Zoom link to convene and where we will tally up our scores. So we will be closing this Zoom webinar. So thank you again, everybody who's tuning in. And panelists, will see you in the other call. And see everybody else tomorrow.
Thank you
very
so
much.
everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Send a link. I'll find it.
Hi, James. Yeah, we sent you a link already. Did you see it? It's in the chat box. Yeah, that's the one. So just copy and paste it and we'll see you there.